1 hour of filming could create 30 days of YouTube content for your channel. And I'm going to walk you through my exact step-by-step system to post YouTube videos consistently, even if you have no experience, fancy equipment, or a team of 50 people. My name's Brian, and I've created videos for the top YouTube channels and have made over 50 million views and millions of dollars with that content. Let's be honest here, no one likes getting on camera and recording. It takes time, it's effort, and it's exhausting. And that's why you clicked on this video, because you're a lazy So if you want to save a bunch of time filming videos, you need a proper system to batch record. But here's what most people get wrong about batch filming. They think that the hard part is sitting in front of the camera for an hour, but really that's not the hard part, that's super duper easy. The hard part is what happens before recording, because filming day success depends entirely on your preparation quality. If you show up unprepared, you'll spend more time thinking than talking, and that 1 hour will slowly turn into 3 hours or 4 hours of painful recording sessions. So that means you want to have the scripts for your videos prepared for the month before recording day. So if you're aiming for 1 video a week, like most businesses and creators should, then you need 4 videos ready if you want to film that in 1 hour. In terms of preparing your videos, you have 2 script approaches that work before batch filming. So the first is having full teleprompter scripts where you write out every single word for word that you're going to say. All you have to do is load the script into the teleprompter and then just read the words off the teleprompter. It's that easy. So on recording day, you don't really have to think too much about what exact words to say, what exact things to do. You can actually focus on talking to the camera, what hand gestures you're gonna have, and your tonality and speaking speed. It's a lot easier that way, honestly. But the caveat, of course, is that it takes a little bit more time to write out everything word for word and making sure that everything is in your voice, because you have to spend some time actually making sure and reading over it before you get in front of the camera to make sure, it's actually coherent and authentic to you rather than it sounding super robotic. Plus, taking time learning how to use a teleprompter, buying a teleprompter, and actually getting good so that when you look at the teleprompter, it doesn't look like your eyes are shifting everywhere. All of this takes time to learn. So maybe might be a little bit difficult. And the second approach is to use bullet point frameworks, right? You want to write out your main key points, the transitions, important phrases, and then use these as prompts to speak naturally. And one of the pros is that it feels more authentic, it feels more conversational, and you really, if you're an expert at your craft and you know a little bit about what persuasion is, what hooks are, it's a lot easy for you to improvise, just get on the camera, say a couple points, expand on it a little bit, and the recording will actually come out a lot more personable, a lot more like yourself. But I would say it requires you to be more confident on camera. So here's how to determine which approach you should use. So scripts should make recording easier, never harder. So if it stresses you out and reading words off a teleprompter is unnatural to you, then you should write a bullet point script. But if you write a bullet point script and then you find that when you get in front of the camera, you just ramble, the output isn't actually anything good, then you need to write a word for word script. There is no hard or fast rule that says, oh, you need to write a word for word script and use a teleprompter, or that you should use bullet point scripts because it feels more natural and you need to speak this way on YouTube for you to go viral. There's no such thing as that. You just kind of do what works for you. Right? If something doesn't work for you, then just change your approach. If something works for you, and just because some of the biggest creators do it, doesn't mean that you have to follow it. You want to figure out what works for you and then just double down on that. But it's important that when you write your scripts, all of your research and prep work must happen before filming. That means your ideas need to be researched and your outlines need to be complete and your scripts need to be written and your editor notes need to be ready. So that way, filming will be a ton easier if your preparation is done. But if you don't have time to script your video and you want to use AI, I recently became a co-founder of Subscriber, which is an AI tool that writes scripts for you in 12 minutes. Right? You can use it it's way, way, way easier. Which brings me to step 2, the night before rehearsal strategy. Most creators make a massive mistake on filming day. They read the scripts for the first time when they sit down to record. And this is why their delivery sounds stilted and why they stumble through their content. So the big tactic is that the night before your filming session, you want to set aside 30 minutes to read your scripts word for word. And even if you're using bullet point scripts, I want you to read through your outline as if you're on camera, right? So actually act like you're in front of the camera and saying it with enthusiasm, saying it in your most authentic way, and going through each bullet point. You want to do this so that you are familiar with your content before you get in front of the camera. You should be reading it out loud, not lying down on the couch in the living room with your girlfriend and mumbling it to yourself. Because it's only when you read it out loud will you realize that, oh, that's not something that I'd say. Or, oh, that sounds kind of weird. Let me maybe shift some of the ideas. And really, when you read your script out loud and make some of the edits the night before, it will let some of the ideas marinate in your head. And really on filming day, you'll be a lot more confident because the content will feel familiar instead of foreign. And this small step removes any awkward pauses and forgotten points. And because you are a lot more familiar with the content, right, you can focus on what hand gestures you're going to say rather than worrying about what is the next word that I'm going to say. Which brings me to step 3, which is to simplify your recording setup. Because really, your recording setup can make or break your batch filming strategy. If it takes you 30 minutes to set up lights, adjust the camera angles, and troubleshoot audio issues, you'll immediately lose a ton of time and you lose momentum before you even started recording, because you won't feel like recording because you're playing around with equipment here, playing around with equipment there. Really, all you need is 3 things for quality YouTube videos: camera, a light, and a microphone. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't necessarily need multiple camera angles, complex lighting rigs, or professional studio setups unless you really feel the absolute need to, right? A phone, basic lighting are enough to create professional looking content. Right now I'm recording in the studio. You can see here that I have a Shure mic. I'm using a Sony ZV-E10 and I have a light box over here that is pointing right at my face. And obviously I have lighting kind of in the back of my head that you can see is bouncing off like the back of my head. So here it's yellow, here it's like a little bit blue. And that's to say that you can book a studio if you need to, but when I was traveling the world and I was, in between Airbnbs, literally all that I had was that I had this mic, I had a camera, I had a tripod, and I had literally like a light that I would put a white singlet over. I'll pull up a picture here, and that's literally how I recorded a bunch of videos. And if you were to watch back at some of my videos, you can see that the background is completely different. And that was literally my MVP setup, right? You don't need anything super duper complex. These are all nice to haves if you have all of these complex lights and all this nice studio background. But the most important thing is that you have a simple setup that's reliable, that you can put up in less than 30 minutes and you can get to recording immediately. If your setup is complicated, you'll find excuses not to film. And if your setup is simple, you'll actually follow through on your batch recording, I promise you. And if you're anything like me and you have all of the equipment, but you're still too lazy to record videos, here's a super actionable tip. What I do is I book a studio once a month. Like, that's why I have the studio here, right? Many cities have hourly studio rentals with professional lighting, camera, audio equipment already set up, or they will have people to help you set it up. So all you have to do is prepay for 1 to 2 hours of studio time, because when you've already paid for studio time, you will show up and you will record because it is scheduled and it is paid for. You cannot procrastinate when you have a booked appointment and money on the line. And really, you can save a bunch of time setting up cameras and lighting that you don't understand or you really can't be bothered to understand. With this, you might pay a little bit more, but you will have more bandwidth to work on other parts of your business, maybe spend more time with family, or if you just want to spend more time scripting videos, you can too. Now we get to the actual recording session. This is where the preparation pays off and simple setups save you time. All you're gonna do is sit down and deliver your scripts one after another without breaks between videos. If you're using a teleprompter, this process becomes nearly effortless because you read script 1, finish the video, load script 2, and then you just keep going. Teleprompter maintains your pace and eliminates the mental load of having to remember content. And as for bullet point scripts, you hit each main point and move on to the next video. Really, you don't need to be a perfectionist about every single word when you are talking about bullet point scripts, because your editor can clean up any small mistakes and awkward pauses that you have. Here's some simple math to prove to you that you can actually record the month's video in 60 minutes. So if you have 4 10-minute videos to record and you have teleprompters, which takes approximately 15 minutes of recording time each, 15 times 4 is 60 minutes. Simple math. So 15 minutes because it includes brief pauses whenever you are reading something, or maybe there's certain mistakes that you have. It gives you a little bit of leeway and you can actually do 4 videos in 15 minutes. If you are super focused, your pre-preparation is done right, and in and out 60 minutes, half the month's worth of content. If you asked me whether I would trade 2 hours a month for 4 long-term video assets that can be pushed by the YouTube algorithm to build trust for my business or make me famous, if that was what I was trying to do, I take that trade every second of the day, because I know I only need 1 YouTube video to change my life. And if you record once a month, you've created 30 days of content in 1 focus session. You're not dealing with the daily setup and then you got to break it down, right? You're not managing equipment every day. You're not moving thousands of like heavy equipment every single day. You're not trying to remember what video you're supposed to film today. Really, you can achieve 30 days of content in 1 hour if you have momentum throughout your recording session. You don't need to review footage in between videos, right? You don't have to second guess your delivery. You don't need to restart videos from the start unless you really make major factual errors, which finish won't happen if you actually prepare your video. Trust your preparation and your script and keep moving through your content. Record everything in one session and then step away from your footage. Your job is content creation, not perfectionism. Now, I want to talk about some logistics and tactical stuff when it comes to saving all of the files and handing off your video to your editor, or maybe you're the one editing the video. Because what you do after the recording is as important to get your video uploaded on time as what you do during the recording. What most people will do is that they will finish their recording and then they will let the footage sit on their computer for days or weeks. And really, the problem with this is that when you don't get it to your editor ASAP, he won't be able to forecast how much work that he has to do. And maybe if he's a freelancer, he'll go on and take on other projects that will really absolutely screw you and your upload schedule. What you want to do is that you want to upload all of your videos into a cloud, right? Maybe it's iCloud or Google Drive, right? Either of those work. And then you want to send it to your editor immediately, and you want to give him clear instructions on which video is which, where he can find certain files, and then ask them if they have any questions. On your script, let's say you read full script or bullet point script, you want to give them editor notes so that they know, okay, exactly where you screwed up or what kind of edit you want it to be, so that they know exactly what they need to do with the specific files that you gave them. And most of all, you want to make sure that they have Drive access so that when you upload the video, you know that they can immediately download it and start doing the A-cut, because once they start doing the A-cut, they can send that over to you and you know that it's actually being edited. So as soon as you finish recording, upload everything to the shared folder, right? The raw footage, scripts, all the bullet points, and any detailed editor notes, right? Mark up any mistakes that you notice during filming, provide timestamps or descriptions so that the editor knows exactly what to fix. And if there are certain additional assets that your editor might need, like graphics, animations, B-roll, footage, intro, maybe you're very particular about the way it's done. You don't want to make it so that your editor has to hunt for assets and guess exactly how you want the video to be. And that way it will be a lot easier for you to review, approve, and upload the video. You just want to make sure that if the editor is good, they have all of the assets that they need to actually do their job. And really, you're the creative director here. You want to give it to them all in one shot. And really, with this process, you can make sure that your editor has a consistent flow of projects from you, so that when they are done with one project, let's say they finish it in 4 days, they can immediately start working on your next project instead of having to wait days for you to actually give them the next video. And that way you can actually start creating a backlog of videos, and really a backlog of videos is how you actually hit a consistent posting cadence. But remember what I told you at the start of the video? The biggest time sink in this entire process isn't the filming, it's not the setup, it's the scripting of the videos. Most creators simply don't have the time to spend hours writing full scripts when they could create better content in 15 minutes using bullet points. So if you want to learn how to write less and get better scripts, watch this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.